Alright, I said I was going to make a video a day, so I'm going to make a video a day. No guarantees about the quality of all these videos, no guarantee about the subject matter, but I'm going to make a video a day. So this one's probably going to get some hate. I'm just anticipating that because I've seen how people react to people talking about this, okay? So today I'm going to tell my Kratom story. If you don't know what Kratom is, let me kind of explain it as best I can. So Kratom is a supplement, or a series of supplements, that come from Southeast Asia, I believe, as do a lot of supplements. But this supplement has been very controversial over the past, especially 5 to 7 years, probably, because of, I guess, the effects that it has. It acts like an opiate, and you can, people, like I said, people are going to react to this. But look, it's my story. I've been there. This is my story. So, a lot of people are taking this because either they can't get their opiates prescribed by their doctor anymore, or they are trying to kick an opium habit. Much like a lot of people are on Suboxone to get off of heroin, right? Well, a lot of people are also using Kratom to stop using heroin or prescription painkillers. Now, my case is a little bit different, but let me just preface this by saying I am an addict. This is what you say when you go to NA. I don't feel like I'm the typical addict, but I have a very addictive personality, mentally addictive personality. So basically, anything that I try that changes my perception or the way I feel, very quickly and easily I become dependent on it, or at least mentally dependent on it, to where I feel like I need it to perform at whatever level, right? So, let's see where this all really started. My real problems with addiction started. I got in a car accident when I was 19 years old, and in the hospital they gave me Dilaudid through my IV, very strong painkiller. A lot of times they'll give you morphine or Dilaudid. I got Dilaudid, so I spent 5 days in the hospital on this Dilaudid, like on a drip, getting it every 4 hours for 5 days, okay? Then I got out of the hospital and they prescribed me 2 different things. I think it was like Vicodin and something stronger than Vicodin. I can't remember what it was. But I got used to, even when the pain subsided, and this happens to a lot of people, even when the pain subsided, I felt like I wanted the feeling that it was giving me, okay, consistently. I felt good. I felt really good when I was on these opiates, right? And I remember going to the doctor after I was supposed to be done taking the opiates, and this is back in the day where it was pretty easy to continue getting these opiates, prescribed. And I went back to my orthopedic surgeon, and I'm like, hey, I'm still having pain, which wasn't a lie. And easily, he prescribed more. I go back again, a month or 2 later. The prescription is supposed to end. Still having pain, still having pain. So I continue taking it. It became a habit, right? And this is the thing I've talked about in my other video too, like the most recent video about making things a habit. Some things can be made a habit, and they don't work out very well. You need to make positive things a habit. Struggle, a habit. This is an example where a habit of feeling good goes wrong, right? So, this was kind of my introduction to opiates. And it went on for over a year because I think I got off of them for a couple months, but then I had to go back in for a second surgery for my broken leg. And then I got more painkillers when I got out. So, what do you know? I needed more than prescribed. And I continued to get them for probably 2 months after my surgery, even though I didn't need them. Then there was a span of time where I didn't use anything. But I was drinking alcohol all the time. I mean, I was young. I was 20, 21 years old. I was drinking at least a few times a week pretty heavily. And then eventually, by the time I was 21, that turned into using cocaine. And I was using cocaine pretty regularly. I was smoking weed. And I did this for probably about a year's time, almost a year. And I got heavy into cocaine, okay? So I'm no longer on prescription painkillers anymore, but I'm using cocaine pretty heavily, smoking weed from time to time. I'm drinking alcohol a lot, probably daily. And then I became a truck driver, okay? When I became a truck driver, I stopped doing cocaine, I stopped smoking weed, all that stuff. But I had access, I don't want to say how, but I had access to, I knew someone very close to me who had large amounts of low-grade opiates prescribed to them. It was this, it was called tramadol, right? And I started taking it because it gave me energy. Whenever I took low doses of it, and this happens a lot of times when you take opiates, even heroin, small doses will energize you, okay? And it's something I learned from taking this tramadol. So I would take it to drive long distances without needing sleep. I didn't really feel high, but I felt physically good, and I felt alert and awake. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but trust me, it really works this way. So, for several years, I had I had access to these tramadols, right? And I would get them regularly, and I was taking, and not a lot, like I said, it's all low doses, so I was taking I would take 1.5 in the morning, and I would take another half in the afternoon, and that's it. Every day, though. Every single day. I became very dependent on them to have any energy. I mean, there came a point where I was pushing myself so hard that I'd be, barely getting any sleep, getting up the next day to go to work, whatever it was, and it would just allow me to keep going, keep pushing myself on 3-4 hours of sleep, just keep going. I was also working out at the time, and this, God, how long did this last? 5-6 years. I'm taking this regularly, daily, and I noticed whenever I didn't have it, whenever I ran out, I was so tired, so incredibly tired, could not move, man. I couldn't get motivated, couldn't move at all. It fucks with your endorphins, it fucks with your adrenal glands, it fucks with everything, right? So I got to a point where it became an issue, it became an issue. My wife was aware of the issue. And now, here's the thing about addicts. A lot of times you don't realize how bad you are until you get perspective from someone else. And this is early on. This was before my wife and I were married, but we were just dating. And she's like, why do you take these? Why do you take these every day? You're like addicted. You're like a drug addict. I'm like, I'm not a fucking drug addict. No, I fucking was a drug addict. And I came to grips with that, and I realized, okay, I gotta stop taking these fucking things. And I just did it. I just stopped taking them. And it hurt, man. It didn't hurt. It wasn't like a heroin thing. It wasn't like the struggles of going off heroin or anything like that. But like I said, extremely tired, no motivation. Just felt like trash for a week before I got back to normal. And so, going through all of this, I should have known better than to ever start taking Kratom. Okay? So what happened was in 2018, I believe, 2018, yeah, around July of 2018, I hurt my back, I slept wrong or something, and I was fucked up for a while. Like, I'm a couple weeks before I got completely back to normal. I couldn't stand up straight, right? And I was walking all hunched over. It was horrible. Okay. But I was visiting my aunt's house, and my mom was taking Kratom. And my mom's had a long-standing addiction to opioids. And, but this Kratom really helped her. She's kind of nearing the end of her life. And at this point, I mean, it's like, you know, I'm not going to begrudge her for taking painkillers. You know, she's actually in severe pain right now. However, she wasn't most of her life that she was on the stuff. Like, she did not need to be addicted to all these drugs. Anyway, getting a little sidetracked here. I said, hey, let me try some of that Kratom for my back. You know, I don't want to take painkillers. I just take some of this supplement, completely legal supplement, right? So I took it. I'm like, oh, it fucking helps. And lo and behold, guess what happened? Gave me energy. Gave me fucking energy. Felt good. I felt good. I felt ready to take on the world, just like those tramadols I was taking, right? Not quite as intense of a feeling, but it gave me energy when I had none. I could work longer hours. I could get my workouts in. I could do everything. And like I said, my personality is one that gets really quickly, starts thinking that I'm dependent on something. Okay, so I took those for a month. When my back felt better, I stopped taking them. Or the Kratom, I stopped taking it. But come around in like late January, early February of 2019, I don't know, I was tired all the time. Didn't feel like working out, felt like shit. And I'm like, you know what? I can just go buy this Kratom. That's all I gotta do. Let's go get this Kratom, take it. Yeah. It's legal, you know? It's not real, it's not drugs, it's a supplement. Look, man, all drugs are like that, okay? Some are just deemed illegal, okay? Cocaine is an extract, right? From a plant. Marijuana, it's a plant. Heroin, it comes from a plant. All this shit's, most of it, is plant-based shit, right? So don't let it fool you that it's a supplement, that it's whatever. So I started taking it February-ish of 2019. Quickly became very dependent on it, to the point where if I didn't have it, if I ran out, I started getting side effects. I started getting withdrawals. You get a runny nose, you're extra tired, you're achy. It's no good, man. It's no good. And anybody who tells you, like, Kratom's a good alternative, it's not a good alternative. I understand people who take it to wean themselves off of something like heroin or opioids or something like that. I can understand that fully. But don't let it fool you into thinking that it's okay to stay right there. Okay? Because that's what I did. I'm like, I wasn't even coming off of an addiction. There was no reason for me to take it other than I thought it gave me an edge. And it did. For a while. And this is where I had to admit that I was an addict, because I have addict behaviors. Okay? I don't have that same craving all the time to use drugs. I don't think about drugs when I'm not using them. Even alcohol. If I'm not drinking it, I'm not like, oh man, I need something to drink. It doesn't bother me to see other people drink. But I started with the addictive behaviors. I didn't want my wife to correlate my use of this Kratom to when I used to use the tramadol, right? And so I kept it from her. And I didn't outright blatantly lie. I just didn't mention it. Didn't mention I was taking it, right? But the thing is I started spending a little more money than I should have on it. Okay? I have an allotted spending money every week, and I was spending more than my allotted spending money. And I would come up with other excuses, because there was other things I was buying, right? I wasn't being honest. I wasn't being honest with my wife. I wasn't being honest with myself. And that's where it became a problem. That's where it really, you know, you do something until it presents a serious problem, until you have to stop. At least that's how the addict personality works. Like, something has to, like, they call it rock bottom, right? I don't know if that's rock bottom per se, but it started affecting my life other than what I was doing, right? It started affecting my family, my life. You know, I became dependent on it, and that was it, man. Eventually, I had to tell my wife, and I know that some people are going to make fun of this. Some people are going to make fun of this. Like, that's not a fucking drug, you know? But I started going to NA meetings because of Kratom. I was no longer on painkillers and stuff like that. I was no longer having issues like that. I didn't drink daily. I would drink once a month or something, once every 2 weeks, maybe. So I didn't have your typical addiction problems, but I exhibited addiction behaviors, and that's why I had to finally admit I have a problem. I had a problem, and I have to keep myself out of situations that make it easy to take the easy way out, right? Or to do something that gives me an edge, right? So Kratom, to me, it was just a crutch, you know? It was a substitute. It was something that, like I said, I used it. I had an excuse to take it, right? Everybody has an excuse. Everybody has a reason to do what they're doing. That was mine. Mine was, hey, you want me to work all these crazy hours and take care of the kids and do this and that and do housework and you know, do all this? I need a boost. I need help. But it was bullshit. And in my head, I really believed it. I can't do it without this. I panicked. I remember thinking, because I had just started running. And I wasn't even running that long a distances, like 3 or 4 miles at the most. And I was telling myself, I couldn't do it without this Kratom. How am I ever going to do this without this fucking Kratom, right? And I was like, didn't want to stop. So I was like, yeah, this is a problem. If I'm thinking this way, it's a fucking problem. So I started going to NA meetings. I stopped taking the Kratom. I weaned myself off over to a period of like 2 weeks. I just stepped down the dose, down. And I stopped taking it. And then, with going to AA, they are actually the ones who kind of convinced me that alcohol is in the same category, you know. I've never personally had a problem with alcohol. I would overindulge in it sometimes, but I never felt like I needed it to function. I never, it wasn't a daily habit. It wasn't, and it didn't really affect my life in a big way. But I figured if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in. So I gave up all drugs, you know, and I gave up alcohol. Which, because it was another thing that I'm like, it's still kind of a crutch. It's always like, well, at least I still get to do this, you know. I needed to take that away. And let me tell you, my life, it's so funny that I thought I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do without taking the Kratom, right? I've done so much more than ever before, and I've had less physical pain than ever before while not taking it, while not taking anything, except for pre-workout and coffee, right? So I'm still taking stimulants, I guess, but it's not cocaine. It's not and it's not the Kratom. So I kind of want to make this video to give my perspective on Kratom. And a lot of people argue like, oh, it does such great things and it shouldn't be illegal, blah, blah, blah. It's like, look, dude, if you're going to make some of this other stuff illegal, like if weed is illegal, then Kratom should probably be illegal. I mean, it's a mind-altering substance. I don't think weed should be illegal, to be honest. I don't particularly like marijuana, but like using it. But, you know, I think it's probably more of a medicine than Kratom, you know, if that says anything. Anyway, that's it. That's kind of my story of how I came to use Kratom and why I had to stop using Kratom, and kind of, I guess, a warning to anyone who thinks about, oh, this might be a good alternative to whatever. Temporarily, maybe, but don't think that you can just switch and start using this. You're still dependent on something. It's still a crutch. It has its consequences. And some people will say it doesn't have any consequences. It does. It's a mind-altering substance. It has consequences. They all do. I'm not anti-drug, man. I'm not one of those people who are like thinking everything should be illegal and stuff like that. I actually, I actually, it's quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. I just got to be honest here. Just got to be truthful. This is my story. This is how I feel. Kratom's a fucking drug, dude. And you have to know that that's what it is. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. That's what it is. So if you don't want to crunch, maybe don't use Kratom, you know. If you're looking to get clean or sober or whatever. Just like Suboxone, right? People will they'll be like, oh, I've been clean for this long, but I take Suboxone. I'm not judging anyone who's trying to get off of hard drugs, but you're not really clean while you're still on Suboxone. And you're not really clean when you're still on Kratom. And I had to learn that the hard way. So, anyway, that's it. That's my video, kind of a long one. If you made it this far, thank you very much for sticking around. Click the like button if you enjoyed it. And let me know if you have a Kratom story. Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure some of it will be like, you're a fucking idiot, I love Kratom, it's the greatest thing ever. You don't know what you're talking about. But, anyway, a video a day, man. So, this was the subject for today. Tomorrow, who knows, maybe a movie review. Maybe I'll talk about my comic book collection. Who knows? But if you enjoy this, stick around, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep making videos about random shit. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.